This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome into the Triple Option. Paul Catalina and Royden Ogletree, who is quite distracted by the things on the desk, which I was kind of hoping for our fantastic sponsor, Victory Tailgate. There you go.
Were you saying something?
Yeah, you're good. You showed me a technique on this that I was not aware of.
Yeah, first of all, are we streaming? I'm seeing technical difficulties.
Yeah, we are. This is a different
Cool.
thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no,
You
sorry.
and I are looking at each other.
I was distracted by the things and the doohickeys
Yeah, I
on
mean,
it.
we can play tic-tac-toe later if you like.
It's a bad thing for ADHD.
Is that you? Or are you one of the afflicted?
Probably.
Oh, probably. Oh, so you're self-diagnosed. You're self-diagnosed.
I'm perfectly normal.
Look,
Said all of my teacher.
ADHD people would say they're all normal.
Yeah.
But having grown up with one and then worked with one for the last, going on 15 years, I would say that that's not true. You're all weird, and we should put you on an island. No, I kid. But it is. It's been a week since we saw you, Roy, and a lot's happened in the world in a week. The Olympics have come and gone, and
Yeah, I'm having withdrawals.
yeah. Did you watch Breakin'?
Did I watch break dancing?
Yeah. No, I mean, they call it breaking.
Breaking?
And listen, as someone who I think based on B-Ray or whatever, Ray-Gun, thank you. Ray-Gun, the Australian dancer.
Yeah.
That I could have a future in this.
If to qualify, yes. If
Yeah.
to get a 0 after qualification, also probably yes.
Am I going to be in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Okay. Then it will say on my tombstone, Paul Catalina, Olympian.
I did see a TikToker that just straight up an hour after she did her thing recreated her entire thing. So I can do this. And they did it. Not a break dancer in a previous life. But there's some odd stuff, and I'd have to fact check this about, like, she kind of threw it on purpose a little bit about how she's like a PhD student about, I would have to double check this, and Twitter can feed you anything and it can be a lie. But there's a long thread about how she's a PhD student writing a dissertation on breakdancing and culture and so on and so forth, and co-opting that culture. And she may have like thrown the game a little bit, but also she probably isn't good on top of that.
To get I was expecting, and look,
There is someone in Australia that could have done it way better.
Yes, exactly. In Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a huge
There's
country.
someone, yeah.
There's somebody who did that.
Population base, sure, but I'm just saying there's how many millions of people in Australia?
Maybe breakdancing in Australia is not as popular as
maybe not.
swimming. Like when they put out the thing like, "Good eye.
Yeah.
We're looking for break dancers to go into the Olympics, mate. Come on now."
That's exactly. You nailed it. Keep going.
And then she's like, "Crikey.
Yeah.
I can break dance."
As I was talking about handball, how like you could be on the American handball team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could go sign. There's nowhere to actually sign up for it, by the way. But you could go be on the American handball team. Never qualified for the Olympics, but you could be on that.
Yeah.
So there may have been just like I can think about breakdancing.
I'm surprised handball isn't more popular in the gyms of the American youth, especially with the softening of America and the fact that dodgeball is apparently bullying.
We gonna do the all we're all snowflakes now bit?
No. I'll just tell you, you know me. I'm not. I understand that we're coming out. I think it's good that we're maybe being a nicer generation in the future,
right?
But some of that comes from people in the middle who are look at the other side that's so soft, and they're like, well, dodgeball is bullying. Not really.
I will say, did I miss the days, or were we historically mocked, my generation, for the people who were in charge putting foam balls in our hands to play dodgeball?
We played with rubber balls.
Yeah, I'm just saying, the people who were in charge then put foam balls in our hands, and then everybody mocked my generation for playing with foam, balls.
Yeah.
The thing was, though, we didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
But also less concussions. So I don't know who comes out in the end.
But the red dodgeball was a rite of passage.
No, when there was a time like early on in my life where we played with those. I think it was like first grade, and that's why I'm probably developmentally stunted. But the thing was that you immediately got rid of those and gave us foam balls, which you could throw as like a slider. So you could throw it one way, and then it would wrap around the face of somebody across the gym.
Yeah.
So there's that.
There were advantages. Yes. Yeah. I just think that.
Although dodgeball should be an Olympic sport, though.
It absolutely
I was watching
should.
dodgeball, a true
It
underdog
should
story.
look. If that was one of the things I thought when I'm watching Breaking, was, hey, no offense to these people who can do something except for ray gun, that I can't do. Mm-hmm. All of them are doing things that I absolutely cannot do.
Athletes, I believe that they are. Will that sport be put into the next Olympics?
In LA, absolutely.
Yeah,
but
they took such a hit for that being like everybody's like, "What is this?"
And also on the last day,
like
that's
you say this for last.
this is what it was. Yeah. Or Paris is like, maybe we hope they forget about it.
Yeah, we didn't think you would notice.
There's all this basketball on. Maybe they won't notice. So
and then it was meme to death.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to keep saying it. That both the games, basketball final, the gold game, were great. And as a Spurs fan, I didn't walk away sad at all. I would have walked away sad had France won, just because of Wemby, because it would have only shot the enthusiasm directly into my in the main vein. Right, maybe just into my cerebral cortex. Of oh my God, this guy's a problem.
Yeah.
He's a big problem.
He hadn't performed great. He'd been 4 of 14 versus Germany. He had been sort of off. Yeah. Sorry for the first, the semifinal, the quarterfinal and the semifinal game. And then it was just, didn't have anybody that could stay with in front of him.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid looked like his feet were in cement.
Yeah.
Trying to get out to him on the 3-point line. And that's where he presents. If he's knocking down his threes, it's not even at a 33% clip.
Yeah.
He's going to be a nightmare to have to guard.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, oh, okay, so then he can put it on the ground and has the longest arms known to man and he can just stand at the free throw line and throw it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought, that was one of the few games, and I watched a lot of Spurs over the course of the NBA season. That was one of the few where I was like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, no,
I get it. But I also came away from that being a legend, a longtime Steph Curry hater, and saying, what, this is fun too. This is actually fun, and I get it.
But see, it's not that you don't like him because he sucks. You don't like him because he's great, and he's not great for
my team. Yeah,
it's
great. Awful when he's against you.
He's great at the expense of everyone else.
Yeah.
So
I was seeing reaction videos, and everyone to a man was like, as a longtime Steph Curry hater, because he's been just torturing my team. I get it. I would act like Golden State Warriors fans on the internet too.
Yeah.
Mean and rude. Yeah. If I had a dude throwing it in from the ocean, and you just be like, yep.
If you need a guy to make 4 shots, out of 6 in the last 2 minutes of a game, they always will have that as long as he's there.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, not only is he the greatest shooter of all time, but he does his best work when he's tired.
Yeah, when he's been running around the entire time, coming off of screens, double teamed, behind the back, throw it to the moon.
It's like just that 10% level of more weakness makes the shots that much cooler.
Yeah.
Because now he's not off. It's the downturn he needs.
Yeah. I was watching it with people that don't nearly appreciate basketball as much as I do, and everyone stood up and ran around the house like we'd just seen the moon landing. We were just oh my God, they did it. Yeah. But yeah, that was so fun. I wish I could have watched more of the women's game, but we were on the road. But what a brick fight.
Oh, it was. It was absolutely. I didn't come France played really tough, and they let the officiating go, which I'm kind of and like about if these are what French basketball officials are like, let's get some of them over here.
I think the ones were just straight up FIBA officials for the men's game. They had Slavic names, a few of them, but like I don't know what the case was for the women's game, but apparently it was a.
Let's bring him over and get him in the Big 12. Let's get him in the Big 12.
Let him go.
Let him go.
Beat each other to death.
Let him go. I
think
they're
already going to do that.
I thought I saw the meme of somebody putting the anchor man. When they're fighting and he's like, let him work it out. Yeah. That was the way that they officiated. It was like, let him work it out. Let's do that in the Big 12.
Yeah, to the death.
Yeah. Free throws are boring.
Yeah, but it's so frustrating when you're not getting
Yeah, I know. But free throws are boring.
When
free throw contests are
back
boring.
of the head and you're just like,
You know what? Get him one of those little pads.
Yeah.
Like a water polo helmet.
Yes.
Yeah, get a water polo helmet.
The ones, the rugbies that keep you from tearing your ears off.
Yeah, those. Mm-hmm. Good. That'll be fine. All right, Kim Coulter and Kyle Visser, two of our intrepid viewers, sent me a column that I sent to you about the University of Texas, and it was from Mike Farrell Sports, and the title is, After Destroying Two Leagues and Triggering Conference Realignment, Texas Meets Its Match. And this article is a very good history on Texas and the way they kind of unilaterally did things and the way that they kind of view themselves, or the Lost Odds especially did.
Right. And it's a timeline, but an editorialized timeline, if we're being honest.
Yeah, it's very editorialized. It's very funny to read.
Yeah.
From the perspective. And I kind of want to talk about it from the actual functionality of it. And now that they are an SEC team, do you think that they'll be content to have their voice heard equally? I think that will be the biggest challenge for them. And I actually think if they did, their life would be a lot less stressful. How many times do you really hear teams in the SEC complaining about things? It's not.
In fact, I haven't.
Garrett, you ever heard a complaint?
Not really.
No.
There's been plenty of things to complain about.
The complaints usually come with the players are going to take the money we stole from them. Nobody wants to pay taxes. Yeah, nobody does. You have to. Mm-hmm. Taxes are the money you get to pay for the privilege of having money.
Yeah.
If you don't want to pay taxes, then you can't have money unless you steal it. And then eventually it's going to come back and get you.
Very non-libertarian take of you today.
It's just how it is. I believe that rent and a mortgage is the cost you pay for the privilege and joy of not living with your family. Yes. Is more money coming out of my pocket? Sure. But this is better. This is way better.
I do love the comedian. I forget which comedian has the I wish I could tell you. He was on TikTok that I saw this, but the term landlord is the funniest thing on the planet.
Yeah. So
like a 1600s, English farmer. My lord, have I paid you the rent this year?
Yeah. That's what it is. So I think if Texas would just relax, lay back, and, go, you know what? Good idea. Send the check to University Boulevard on Austin, Texas, P.O. Box 1.
Well, the subscription service that they have subscribed to is letting Greg Sankey run roughshod over the rest of the conferences. Auto pay. Thank you very much. We will back off, which they should do.
Yeah, I just wonder if they will. I wonder if
that's what
how
the
much
article,
of a struggle will it be for them to just, they raise their hand and they are going to say, well, we have this idea, and Alabama and Georgia go, oh, we don't care.
Yeah.
No. This is the way we do it here. And well, in Austin, we have these values. And your values are our values. Say, Google gobble, one of us. Just, you are one of us now, and you will adhere to the rules.
They haven't been completely molded into the groupthink or the mind meld that is the supercomputer brain of the SEC.
Yeah.
They haven't quite been plugged in yet.
That's probably why Vanderbilt's there, to up the computing power.
Yeah. They need more storage space, obviously.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I wonder how that's going to go. I'm very curious in the transition of it because in the Big 12 and the Southwest Conference, they were able to unilaterally do whatever they wanted.
Right.
And that is partially Texas's fault, but it's also partially the fault of anybody who sided with them when they shouldn't have. Much like the ACC and Pac-12 fell victim to Kevin Warren going, scheduling alliance. Everybody's going to love it. We're going to get this done. Give me 6 months, and then we'll sit down in a room and talk about it. But you guys go out and talk about how awesome it is that we're partnered together in this alliance, and then I'll get back to you around Christmas, and we'll have a nice Christmas ham and talk about these plans. And then it was all just a part of it so he could secure his TV deal.
Right.
And once he did, he's like, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it work. I want to hang with you guys, but,
Call forwarding.
I got, I'm just tied up, bro.
Yeah.
That's how it is. The other schools in the Southwest Conference in the Big 12, to a fault, did not unite enough against Texas because, sometimes they were probably sold in the, whoa, this is better for us. We need to do this, or, all of that. And Prop 48 with Nebraska was a big one. And Nebraska fought them, and everybody else was like, oh, we could take down Nebraska a peg or two.
What's up?
I'm just thinking, so there have been 2 recent examples that Texas has faced in this brief stint since they've gone into the SEC. And honestly, both of them have not gone in their favor. If you think about the horns down being a penalty, the SEC said straight up, no.
Right.
That's not going to happen. And then when and this was nothing serious at all. It was more just fun and banter, but who's the real UT? SEC said it's Tennessee.
It's funny they came out straight up and said that.
Small sample size, but if that's any indication, I don't think Texas is going to be able to push and throw their weight around like they have been able to.
No, those are subtle messages to them,
but
right?
it's the tiny things.
Yeah, tiny things. Although it does, I'm glad you brought that up. It does bring me up another opportunity to say, let's get the Davy Crockett Trophy going.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Yes, the Davy Crockett Trophy. Have you ever talked to you about the Davy Crockett Trophy?
No, but I know
Okay.
I smell what you're stepping in.
Whenever Tennessee and Texas play, the Davy Crockett Trophy will be awarded to the winner.
Yeah.
And the winner will get to call themselves the real UT until such time as it changes hands.
So on an off year, if they don't play each other,
it could be a 2-3 year stretch or whatever. They'll play each other more often now because of the new modified schedule.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like you'll be the real UT for a decade before they swing back around. You might have a couple years of being the real UT, and then it's back up for grabs.
I just think it needs to be rotated. It's got to go home and home in San Antonio. There has to be a neutral site game in San Antonio to pull this off.
Yeah, I mean, really, this would be the UTSA Tennessee matchup, but who's
No.
Yeah. But
Make
home
it work.
so do a home and home, and then
a
do one
neutral
in San
site.
Antonio.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just a coonskin cap with you all can go to hell. I'm going to go to Texas engraved on it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I would say more of a trophy with him, something. I don't know.
Killing a bear when he was only 3.
Yeah. Exactly. Or maybe that can be the T-shirt that they all get. It's like baby Davy Crockett choking out a bear.
Wrestling a bear.
Yeah.
Putting him in the figure 4.
Yeah. Just a little toddler.
Through a table. Just
little toddler with a coonskin cap, killing a bar. But I think they do that.
That is an incredible idea, actually.
It is. I'm going to speak it into
You
existence.
got a notebook of these things?
You have no idea, man.
Oh, okay.
Look, I have notes, like my phone memos, voice memos in the last year and a half are either really brilliant ideas or the rantings of a madman.
Yeah, it's waking up out of a cold sweat in the middle of the night. And it's just
mostly in my car.
Oh, okay.
Mostly
Mine's
in my car.
right before I'm about to fall asleep.
Yeah, no, mostly in my car when I'm driving. I do have a lot of ideas in the shower, but I don't have my phone there, and so it's a bit of a problem.
And the thing is you have to write it down. Otherwise, if you're going to drive in grocery stores, oh my God.
We kind of have that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drive up, not drive in.
No. So you drive through.
Yeah,
and
and you're just kind of like this, right?
Yeah. I don't know how safe that is.
Who cares?
Just get a minivan, like a little sliding door, and have like one of your kids in the back.
Yeah, just hang him out by his ankles. And like just.
But when you get to the cereal aisle, you're like, we don't need this many Cocoa Puffs. Devin, come on. Yeah. So I'll be very entertained seeing how Texas morphs itself to fit in the SEC, and that, how the powers that be respond to saying something and not having it unilaterally taken, which honestly kind of happened in the last couple of years of the Big 12, where they finally said,
whatever, dude, bye.
This is insane.
Yeah, I don't. That's the main question that the article proposed. It's not a fond article of Texas, and the person who wrote it, I assume his name's on the website, but
his name is Rock Westfall.
Oh, okay.
Which is a awesome name,
Rock Westfall. Mm-hmm. That is an old NBA coach from like the '60s. Anyway, Westfall wasn't too keen on Texas as an institution when he wrote the article, but it does pose the question about what you're saying is, can they possibly throw their weight around anymore, and to what extent? You bring up a good point, Garrett, with the subtle shots across the bow. The note on the door, the white vans in your driveway of, hey, this isn't going to fly anymore. To the extent at which, and this is all dependent on what becomes of these 4 conferences that are going to be sticking around, 3.5 conferences that are going to be sticking around, and if the NCAA sticks around, how much is money going to rule things? Because, look, next to Vanderbilt, nobody got money like UT money.
Yeah. And Vanderbilt doesn't throw it around like
right, and then, it's for other things.
UT can spend on literally everything that they want.
Yeah,
I mean, so when it comes to, hey, we need a new electron microscope, they're like, no problem.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, sex robots are a thing now, and it'll really keep our guys distracted.
Fembots from Austin Powers.
Fembots are a thing now, and really keep the athletes distracted and focused on their work. If they just have a fembot that has no emotions.
We're
or
Westworld now. I don't know if anybody knows this.
We're going to do a Westworld, and they'll be like, great.
Yeah.
Great. Can Oklahoma have a Westworld? They're like, no, they don't have Westworld money.
No.
Georgia has a Westworld. Alabama has a Westworld. Ohio State has one. Michigan has one. No one else does. They're like, okay, we're fine.
Maybe front you the money on a 15% interest.
Yeah. So.
To answer your question, I think that they'll fall in line up until what this article kind of lays out plainly, up until it is not beneficial for them to what is beneficial for Texas by themselves to do so.
Yeah.
What that is, I have no foresight into that at all. But I think it will probably have to do with revenue sharing of if and when the NCAA collapses and what that deal looks like when the SEC and the Big Ten and hopefully the Big 12 form the Major Football League of America. That will probably be it. And if they think they somehow deserve some bigger slice of the pie, or if it's going to be, if it's going to be communism, socialism, everybody gets the same slice of the pie throughout. I don't know. But that's the only thing of foresight that I could see could potentially derail everything being copacetic in the SEC. But I've been wrong before. Maybe it's, we want so many home and homes versus Texas A&M or anything like that could set it up. We want that Longhorn network back. I don't know.
Yeah. Now the thing is that they already had to give that up. So they had to give that up. There's a lot, Garrett. You're right.
Didn't they change the time of the Texas-Oklahoma game too? I could be wrong on that. I feel like
when
that
it was normally at noon or 3.
I feel like they changed the time on that. I could be wrong.
I know that it's up for discussion.
Okay, then that's another thing.
Because the fair does not want them to do it at night because we will be out of everything.
Yeah.
This place will be
They've also had security problems at that fair the past couple of years too.
Yeah. This moving that game, like I get wanting to put it in prime time, but moving that game to night would be an absolute fallout level, like wasteland.
Disaster incident.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. There'd be ghouls. There'd be all kind of weird things. There'd be just weird.
There's a vault under the stadium.
Yeah. Yeah.
A shelter.
There would be, you're talking about, 100,000 people at the fair that has cleaned out every beer and fried Snickers in the area before
the
kickoff. See, this way, if you have it 11 o'clock in the morning, they can tire themselves out before kickoff or like with the game and all that.
Yeah.
But if you push it all the way then, well, they're still going to go to the game and then it's going to be
the purge.
Yes, absolutely. They just can't do it.
I mean, do you have any like sort of foresight into, like I was saying, into thinking what could set them off? I mean, they just got bored with the Big 12 at certain points, and he says in the article about the the potential move to the Pac-12, and even when they were getting everything that they could possibly want in the new look Big 12, they were still like, yeah, well, Pac-12 might be a little bit better academics. Y'all are dumb over here, like whatever.
Yeah. So yeah,
they play cooler stadiums and events. There's California. They got weed out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what their reasoning for going to the Pac-12 would have been in general, other than to try and run the Pac-12 also.
Yeah.
But
you know who stood up to the Pac-12 or stood up to Texas? The Pac-12 did. They're like, no, we can't have this. We already have a bunch of TV networks that people can't watch. We don't need another one.
Y'all got Tubi?
We also I think they were like, oh, here's the other thing though. Texas goes to the Pac-12, and I'm saying this is a compliment to Texas. They probably fix it.
Yeah, it probably sticks around actually.
Because like as much as like Larry Scott or George Kliavkoff would have never Larry Scott would have been out, and that's probably why he opposed it, because he's like, oh look, I might be feckless and a yes man, but they will weed me out real fast.
I will be a yes man in power.
Yeah, and then but he might be like, oh no, they're not gonna like the way I do things, because I think Texas would be like, you smell shady, son. I
smell a narc.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with you. I feel like you're going to steal from us, which he did from the other schools.
Yep.
And so in a way, yeah, no. We'll get a spineless person in here. Don't worry about that. But it'll be our spineless weasel, not your spineless weasel. But Dan Beebe's been unemployed, but let's give him a call. He'll gladly come run this conference for us. I think they would have fixed it, because again, had the Pac-12, deign to consider anybody, west of the Pecos, they would be alive,
right?
And the Big 12 would be dead.
No, well, to give credit, like that's giving credit to Texas a little bit, and to give credit to Texas in some way, that's we're not completely slandering him. There's nothing to suggest so far by their actions. Now they haven't played a football game yet, that they won't be docile and compliant in the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, we'll see. I'm just curious about it. When we come back, who is a better bet to win the national title, Ohio State and Georgia? I'm going to warn you, Royden, I'm going to take the point of Ohio State, and you can take Georgia if you want, but I will be arguing the side of Ohio State.
I didn't know I was supposed to come with notes.
Okay. just so you know, you can have whatever opinion you want. If you say it's Oregon, then we'll do that.
As long as it's the wrong one.
Yeah, no, but I'm going to argue that Ohio State should be the team that wins the national title.
Sure.
That's going to be next. This is 365 Sports.
is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back to the Triple Option. Paul Catalina, Royden Ogletree, and Garrett Ross. Okay. Better bet to win after the polls came out yesterday. The top 5 is Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon. Texas is 4th or 5th?
4th.
Texas is 4th.
Their highest ranking since 2010.
So Texas is 4th, Alabama is 5th. Taking those top 4, I'm going to make the argument that Ohio State is best set up because of their roster and their depth to win the national title, and that they lost a starting safety, and then they got a better one in the transfer portal in Caleb Downs, who's fantastic. Their quarterback is upgraded from Kyle McCord to Will Howard, although probably not as much as they want it to be. But given the weapons he has around him, they lost one regular season game with Kyle McCord last year, and Will Howard is better. You don't agree?
That's
with
arguable. I don't. I'm not sold on Will Howard, but that's just me.
I was listening to something today, and I think it was Joel Klatt was talking about, what he saw from Kyle McCord, and it wasn't as impressive of what Will Howard can be, meaning that like Will Howard's like 240 pounds, and in that Chip Kelly offense, they're blowing smoke a little. They're like, he's the fastest player of all time. He's the fastest player in Ohio State's camp. He ran 22 miles an hour. He would have beat Noah Lyles I made that one up. But I just think what he can bring in that Chip Kelly specific offense, as far as the read option and, quarterback design runs too. And look, Will Howard can throw the ball around a little bit. I think there was a misconception that he was more of a Colin Klein than he was just like a Carson Beck or somebody that is sit in the pocket and throw it around a little bit. I think he's a true dual threat guy. I think he's going to be good in that, specifically in that Chip Kelly offense is what I'm trying to say. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be good. I have questions, and we had Graham Coffey on 365 Sports yesterday, who covers Georgia, about. And look, they're probably going to blow your mind with the guys that they have, but they have not a lot of proven weapons in the skill positions, and they've got a good quarterback, but the 2 best players that he had on that team last year are gone.
Nope.
And then now they've also expelled Ra Thomas from the team. So that's something to look at. Now, Royden, national champion right now of those 4 teams, where are you leaning?
I mean, I was going to say Ohio State.
Oh, well, I took that away from you. Don't change your opinion just because I
was going to say Ohio State with all the transfers that they brought in, of course. Like I said, I do think their quarterback situation is actually going to improve. I mean, we'll see how Kyle McCord does in a lesser offense in Syracuse, and then we can compare and contrast. But now if he goes to Syracuse and all of a sudden in the dome he's slinging it around and be like, ooh, okay, this may have been a mistake. But the biggest upgrade is that they just simply added one of the top offensive minds in the 21st century. To just be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's talked about enough. A sitting head coach, Hall of Fame head coach, is just now your offensive coordinator because he simply didn't want to be at UCLA anymore.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a huge thing. And this is, if not now, when for Ryan Day? If not now, when is it going to happen?
Well, and also, too, I think that Michigan is going to probably be down.
From last year, they're not going to be.
They're not going to. Yeah, they're not going to.
They could still be a very good
undefeated
team, but they're not. Look, J.J. McCarthy's gone, and they don't know who the guy is.
Too, by the way.
Yeah. So, but he's.
I mean, it's probably going to be Orgy at Michigan.
Yeah.
He had thrown one pass last year.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to be like the run option the option game between Orji and Edwards is going to be deadly. And they're going to run over people. But also, no matter how much they want, people want to say it won't affect them. Their head coach is dealing now with sanctions. There's bound to be a letdown from going 14 or 15-0 and winning a national championship, despite everybody rooting against you, except for the greater Michigan area. And I just feel like there's bound to be a letdown. First-year head coach. They're ranked 9th. This article makes the point that they also should be a faller, the one that you sent me from The Athletic, or will fall out of, the top 10 eventually. So, yeah, to your point, if Ryan Day doesn't beat Michigan this year, and we've had this argument over and over and over again, is like how much better can you get than 11-1 and losing to Michigan? To them, it's winning the national championship. But also, how many people would kill to have Ryan Day as a head coach? Most of them. So, but yeah, it's gonna be really nasty online and otherwise if they go in there and they don't beat Michigan or they lose to Penn State. Are they even playing Penn State this year?
I believe that they are. Hold on, I'll tell you. And look, here's the thing about their schedule.
It doesn't matter. They still will make the 12-team playoff, but if you go another year of Ryan Day losing to Michigan, not performing up to expectations with the players that you have on your team, people in Ohio are going to get super mad online and otherwise.
So on paper right now, theoretically, their nightmare scenario is 9-3. Like the 3 teams they play that will match up with them the best: at Oregon, at Penn State, home for Michigan.
At Oregon, at Penn State, home for Michigan.
Yeah. They play Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall in non-conference. They go to Michigan State. They host Iowa. Then they go to Oregon. Then they host Nebraska after a bye. After their second bye. Then they go to Penn State, host Purdue, play at Wrigley Field against Northwestern, which that'll be cool. Then they host Indiana and Michigan, and then likely the Big Ten championship game against one of those teams, probably Oregon, Penn State, or Michigan. So,
out of all of these teams, out of the top 4, who do you think has the best quarterback situation?
Texas.
You think Ewers?
Yeah,
above
I would
Beck?
rank it Ewers, Beck, Gabriel, and Will Howard. Garrett, where are you on that?
I think I would go with Texas's room. I'm still concerned with Ewers never making it through a full season healthy, but having a backup with the quote unquote caliber of Arch Manning is good. I would probably put.
So at that point, then you could just say all the 4 and 5 stars that Oregon has as backups.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is I don't know the full quarterback room in Oregon, but I would put it up next, and then I would probably go Ohio State and Georgia last out of those. But I'd go Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, and Georgia as far as quarterbacks.
Okay.
I think Carson Beck's going to have a great year. I think he's going to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's the favorite to do that, and I think he'll have a great year. But yeah, and if you want to grade rooms, I would say that Texas has the best quarterback room.
Yeah, that's probably what I mean, because pound for pound, player for player, I would put Carson Beck above Will Howard.
Yeah. Ohio State has the best running back room. Mm-hmm. Georgia maybe has the best. Georgia and Texas might have the best offensive line. Oregon has the most, I think,
playmakers.
The most playmakers, kind of in general.
Yeah.
But Ohio State might have the best, wide receiver room in total, given the fact that they've been crushing that. They are a wide receiver now.
Yeah.
For a long time. So there's, among the top 4, there's not a lot, there's really not a lot of questions. And I'll just tell you this. If any of those 4 teams are not in the playoff, it is an absolute failure. Now, after the top 4, I think you can see a path where maybe they don't. Like, what is Alabama with Kalen DeBoer? We don't know yet. Yep. I think they'll be fine. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Jalen Milroe, and so I think they'll be fine. But after the top 4, you can start getting into, okay, well, is Ole Miss for real? The
argument makes that they believe that Ole Miss will fall off.
Yeah.
Too.
Do the top 3 or 4 teams in the ACC maybe beat each other up a little bit because there's not as much separation anymore between the top, 1 team, which was Clemson for a long time, and now the top 2 teams, and then now you got Miami creeping up. NC State's really scary. Louisville. If Tyler Shuck can stay healthy, which is the biggest if in all of college football, if Tyler Shuck can stay healthy, Louisville's going to win games. I mean, they're going to win games. They won games with Jack freaking Plummer last year.
Can Klubnik take the step that everybody wants him to take?
Yeah, I don't really think it's as much on him as people think.
It's not. He has no playmakers to throw the ball to.
I mean, that offense, I mean, it's more on Dabo and Garrett Riley to figure that out. And it's more on Dabo to kind of acknowledge
they don't got a Shipley they can throw the ball to.
He's gone now. Gone. He's playing for the Eagles. Mm-hmm. He's gonna. Here's what I know. Will Shipley might be like the most middle of the road NFL player, but I know against the Cowboys, Will Shipley will have huge games.
Make a name for myself.
You know what's going to be the hardest thing for me to experience is Johnny Wilson catching touchdowns over Cowboys defensive backs for however long that happens. They already don't have an answer for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and you throw a 6'7" guy who runs a 4-5 in there, who I love like a son.
How many non, Hall of Fame players can you name that have cooked your team in the NFL?
I mean, like, most of them are Eagles.
Yeah.
Darren Sproles. They didn't have an answer for Darren Sproles until Sean Lee literally got in a room and just watched video of him. That was it. Like, Sean Lee's like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to just watch a video of him. And then, like,
my argument is that Darren Sproles should be a Hall of Famer. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
But honestly, like, Sean, I remember interviewing him one time at camp, and I said, your work on, like, watching the documentary, you were talking about Darren Sproles, and he's like, yeah, I worked really hard on that. We get done, and he's like, I probably should have elaborated. He said, I spent a month, like, at the facility every day just watching Darren Sproles.
Yeah.
He said, because we can't keep losing 2 games a year, pretty much because Darren Sproles will make a big play that's the difference in the game. And I was like, so what? People just came in. He's like, yep, watching Sproles again. And then like, well, this is him in San Diego. He's not been there in 5 years. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I want to know everything about this guy. It's like, wow.
Watching LaDainian Tomlinson film to get
yeah, let's watch
to get who he learned from.
Here's LaDainian Tomlinson comes out, and then here's what Sproles does. And then people are like, oh my God. Like that is but that's the thing that's going to drive me nuts. That's a non sequitur to say, like, what is going to happen? Like Notre Dame.
I still have
Notre Dame
nightmares
for
about
real.
Maurice Jones-Drew. Sorry, I had to get that one.
Who's the one for you? Derrick Henry?
No, it was Maurice Jones-Drew.
Maurice Jones-Drew?
Yeah, he was like 5'6", and he just absolutely ran through the Texans. There's something. Well, Derrick Henry's going to be a Hall of Famer, but the stats about Derrick Henry against the Texans, where no one else had 200-yard games, and he had like 4 against the Texans.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maurice Jones-Drew.
David Garrard throwing a Hail Mary to no one.
Yeah.
Winning a game.
Maurice Jones-Drew now, you saw him in the Super Bowl, right, Garrett?
Yeah.
He's like a total dad bod, dude. Like, you would pick him out as, like, not former, like, especially fantasy football stud, Maurice Jones-Drew. You would be like, who is the middle school gym teacher in this room? It's Maurice Jones-Drew. It's absolutely, that's what he looks like to me. It's like, you put him in like the gym teacher clothes and he'd be like, all right, kids.
Run a mile.
Yeah. And we're going to climb the rope today.
Yeah.
Make sure you powder up.
Under this, we're going to put 3 inches of foam mat under you. If you fall, duck and roll.
Yeah. Curl into a ball.
Yeah.
Most of you will break bones.
Right.
Hopefully they're small.
The Notre Dame thing is interesting, just going all the way back. But the Notre Dame thing is interesting because what games are they going to lose? They could make the playoff by going 10-2, and they should go 10-2. The problem is that Riley Leonard, I'm stealing this from the podcast I listened to, had 3 passing touchdowns last year. he's going to have to throw the ball down the field eventually, or maybe not. Maybe he just runs away from everybody and it doesn't matter. But, who are their difficult games on the schedule? I think they have 2.
Notre Dame's most difficult games are A&M and Florida State.
Right.
Yeah. So, but they have USC at the end of the year, which I don't know about. I didn't think they should have even been ranked, to be quite honest with you. Just based on what we've seen, that felt a little lazy to me. Louisville will be a tough game for them. Georgia Tech will be probably tougher. But their schedule is at A&M, NIU, at Purdue, Miami, Ohio, Louisville, by Stanford, at Georgia Tech, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, by the way, and not at Georgia Tech, and versus Navy at MetLife Stadium. So they're playing in some big stadiums, hosting Florida State, Virginia at home, and then versus Army at Yankee Stadium. But man, Notre Dame's gone on quite the tour this year. So
the thing is,
then they play Army at Yankee Stadium and then go to the Coliseum to play USC. So
it's always funny because the college football poll isn't supposed to be based off the AP poll, but it ends up being that way anyway because that's kind of where their starting point is. Yeah. And it's always a fun roundabout way of saying we don't know how to actually rank these people, or we shouldn't be ranking these people to start with anyway. We should just let them play 4 games. But the thing is that the AP poll is so top heavy with SEC schools that I'm bound to think that more Big 12 teams sneak in here than I think we want to believe in. We all want to say that 8 of the 12 teams are going to be SEC schools because that's just how it works out. And, the rest will be Big 10 schools. I kind of think that Utah, who's sitting at 12, so maybe it's a non-starter, but Utah, I think, kind of can sneak in there. I think that Oklahoma State or KSU, I'm just saying that one or two teams from the Big 12 will have better seasons than I think people are realizing. And at the end of the year, they're going to have to make more. And it happens this way every year, but they're going to have to make some tougher decisions than, we can just throw Alabama in there again or what have you.
Yeah.
That's my thinking on the whole, how it shakes out. And the whole article that you argued is that by the end of the year, it's not going to look anything like.
No.
Like the main argument of the article is that Georgia being number 1 is actually bad for them, which is a funny argument to make. But.
Yeah, but most teams that get, they're going to have the biggest bullseye of anybody until they're knocked for a legitimate loop, not a win all 12 games and then lose to Alabama in the championship game kind of a thing where they're knocked legit out of the playoff. That's when Georgia is going to be, maybe not as feared anymore when they go 8-4.
Right, which I don't foresee happening.
It would be a tragedy in Athens of epic proportions.
Unmitigated disaster.
It would. Oh my gosh! It would.
Books would be written.
Yeah.
Sonnets would be heard.
Yeah. But you do. Sometimes, and they do have this feeling to me right now of a team discipline wise that's flying a little too close to the sun, and the rah-rah Thomas thing is a good step forward. But short of another traffic thing happens and they don't do anything about it, then they're just inviting the fall. That's where Nick Saban, if you look at almost every other team that could have been, if they just done it the way Nick Saban did it.
Yep.
Jim Tressel invited the fall. Now, was it stupid, the hill he decided to die on, and that the NCAA even cares about a free tattoo? That's some sort of commodity. Terrell Pryor got a free tattoo. He cannot take that tattoo and show it to somebody and then get anything else. There's no exchange rate for it.
Unless it was sponsored by Gatorade.
And even then, what good is that? I can't. Garrett has tattoos. I couldn't get a tattoo, and he's like, you know what, dude? I want that tattoo. I'm like, oh, cool, take mine. You know what? We're friends. Happy birthday. And I just here you go. We're gonna run into each other really fast, and then my tattoo.
Yeah, it's like the non-permanent ones. That you like slap on you rub a little water on it.
Yeah. So
the thing with Georgia is you are right. Like their top running back coming back, their top 2 running backs both went pro. Mm-hmm. Their top running back coming back, Robinson, had 96 yards last year and 2 touchdowns. Granted, he was a sophomore, is a sophomore now, but really it is their wide receivers, and their wide receivers didn't perform.
Colby Young transferred in from Miami, and they feel good about him. But
Lad McConkey, Brock Bowers are gone, and you said Ra Thomas is suspended,
gone.
Gone. And so it's Lovett and Bell, Dominic Lovett, and I'm looking here, Dylan Bell, totaled 900 yards between the two and 6 touchdowns last year.
So that's a lot to replace. And Colby Young, fills out that 3, and they might be really good. But that's a big question for me.
Far be it from me to question the 4th or 5th Georgia player.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Which I would love on my team, and they would start right away. Mm-hmm. But when you're asking them to be number 1 elite run over everyone, Georgia, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot to replace.
Yeah. I think they're going to be there. So, but I do think that when you look at the other rosters, Georgia's actually has something in certain positions to be desired. Now, are they going to still have the best offensive and defensive lines probably in the country? Yeah.
Win you a lot of games.
Yeah, and that'll win you a lot of games. That's actually what kept them in early in the season when they were just uninspired.
I mean, when they saw their schedule, there was nothing to get up for.
Yeah, they were just like, all right, well, let's go to South Carolina,
Or did they go, or South Carolina come to Georgia and we're up where
they had a couple teams give them scares. Yeah. Give them legitimate scares.
Yeah, there was a couple of ones where, into the 3rd quarter, and then they win 24-10 or something.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But you could tell that they were like, can we get to what matters to us? They've had too much steak, and they did not want a hamburger anymore.
Right.
That was kind of how it was. I think not being in the playoff last year will put a chip on their shoulder. Yep. And they shouldn't have been, but so you could pick one of 3 teams that shouldn't have been in. I'll let you take any one of the 3 out and put the rightful one in. I don't care who you take out. I legitimately don't. If you take out Georgia, Alabama, or Texas, put Florida State in, I'm not sad about any of it at all. So I would think it could have worked out well. But
speaking of waking up in the middle of the night with
that's the rantings of a madman. I'm thinking about other teams that have let it, they squandered it. Their dynasty. They could have, Florida with Urban Meyer certainly did.
One of them.
Because Florida, he was building something that could have been a Saban-level juggernaut, especially given the fact that, 2 years after he goes to Ohio State, he wins there. He could have, and he let it, it happen there too.
Well, look, Mac Brown at Texas will be the common example. Colt McCoy getting hit and not playing is the sliding doors moment for that entire.
It is the sliding doors moment, and it is also where you kind of Garrett Gilbert, who wound up being a pretty good college quarterback who's been in the NFL.
He's a millionaire. He's a backup quarterback in the NFL.
But he just wasn't. He just wasn't.
That poor kid didn't know.
He just wasn't a fit there, and
where he was
he had to throw in hey, you need to win the national championship game
against these all pros out here.
Yeah. So that was something I would love to talk to Garrett Gilbert one day and just kind of go through all that. Never have talked.
The stadium rating thing in NCAA football, the new game, it would have broken through the meter.
Yeah,
and it was everything was wobbly.
Yeah, absolutely. And they, but they were also, the other coaches in the Big 12 especially were finding talent where Texas was well, they're not on this list of the top 10 that you gave us.
Yeah.
If you're 11th, you disgust me. They got really snobby about their recruits, and they were recruiting guys because they were high recruits, and that's okay, great that you can get them, but they also have to fit what you do.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. They get these guys in and like, hey, you're the best linebacker in Dallas. And it's like, yeah, but I don't fit your defense. I need to be somewhere else. Or like this doesn't fit. And they were trying to put round pegs and square holes and all that stuff. So, or strike that, reverse it. They let it go.
You can kind of argue that LSU kind of falls in this camp, but they're kind of like the San Francisco Giants, where it's like we're going to win one every 2 years or something like that, where it's like we're going to suck for 2 years, and then we'll be back, we'll win another one, we'll go away, and then we'll come back and win another one.
Yeah.
But, I mean, circumstances were differing for why they haven't squad. It's not like they had the same coaches or anything for the entire time. Maybe that's on the administration for killing that sort of run.
Nick Saban won one, left.
But like every time
Les
they
Miles
win something,
won one, and then
that right there. Every time they win something, the stuff comes out.
That's what I'm saying.
Derails itself.
Yeah, and then Ed Orgeron comes in, helps them clean up their mess partially, but once they won, he created a new one.
Yeah,
because he was now the absolute king of Louisiana.
Yeah,
like seriously,
he was the emperor.
He was like Louisiana hasn't had a king since Louis the 16th, and it was like no, you're now the king of Louisiana. Our favorite son who won a title at LSU. And when you go talk to people to ask them for money, you're like, hey, give LSU some dollars. We need money. And they're like,
put that throne on my fan boat.
It's me asking for money. It's me. I feel like I'm talking to my Uncle Ed.
Yeah.
I have an Uncle Ed. He talks just like that. Drinks just as much beer.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And then Ed was like.
Runs in the direct sunlight with his shirt off.
Yeah. Hey, lady.
Contacts Booster's wife, allegedly.
Yeah. Hey, lady, let me fill up your gas tank. Go Tigers.
Is that a double entendre? Who's to say?
Yeah. Hey, you know what you need to do? Come out work at our gym. Way better than Gold's. We got free jacuzzi.
It's also tough to say like who's squandering dynasties when Alabama, especially in the 21st century when Alabama's running roughshod over. I mean, it's basically just Alabama. Has been. I mean,
but he never squandered it because anytime, and this is what makes Saban so great.
That's what I'm saying.
Anytime that stuff came up, nipped it in the bud.
Yep.
He never let anything fester, or he knew something that Kirby doesn't quite know yet. That you'll get another one. Like there's no you're a juggernaut.
Yeah.
You'll get another one. And that's what the great coaches know is like, you know what? Yeah, this kid's great, but I'm also every other kid on this team is, so I'll let this one go. And then I'll show them like, I don't care how good you are.
You know who's the best example?
Fall in line.
Sorry, the best example of it's USC.
Yeah. They squandered it.
Yeah.
They squandered it.
In a big way.
Well,
for multiple reasons.
And the biggest thing was the NCAA came at Pete Carroll and he's like, okay, fine. I'm going to go win a Super Bowl now.
I mean, he did the Harbaugh.
Yeah.
He was the original Harbaugh that nobody really talks about.
Harbaugh's doing the Carroll.
Harbaugh is doing the Carroll, actually.
Yeah, so it's like, no, I'll just go win a Super Bowl. I'll do that. That's fine. Don't worry about me. I'm on to bigger and better things. And moved on, and then USC, who has had, if you want to talk about a bad run of athletic directors until now, until just the one they hired a few months ago, they've had a bad, they were like, you know what? You won the Heisman Trophy, right? Or you were a really good football player. You're the athletic director now. What's your fundraising experience? Usually I go to golf tournaments when people pay me to, and then tell other rich people to give money. So let's do that.
I've been at the rollout of several vodkas.
That's the ender right there.
Yeah.
That's the ender. I've been at the rollout of several vodkas. They have good ideas.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a little one.
Yeah, exactly. Here. There's a little Trojan on it.
I love it. All right, later on 365 Sports, Tim Brando makes his triumphant return to the program today. We've got Carter Carrolls right before that talking A&M. We'll have Brian Haydad on Mississippi State. We'll have Ari Temkin from Big 12 Radio. And we will have the venerable, the general, the pope of college football writers, John McClain, will be on the show for his usual Tuesday spot. And Royden is dominating the rings. Maybe next week we'll play with the lawn dice and see how good he is at that. So
We're going to be like in the corner shooting them?
yeah, I guess so.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what that one.
Yeah.
Chest
Ew.
pass him. I don't know. That was weird. I'm sorry you all had to see that from the two of us. This is 365 Sports.